Segundo y último día de este encuentro académico, nos da mucho gusto tener con nosotros a la maestra Yolanda Ballesteros Sentíes con su plática English Language as Oral Global Learning. La maestra Yolanda Ballesteros Sentíes es licenciada en Derecho y licenciada en la del Inglés. Estudió la maestría en Administración Educativa y actualmente cursa el doctorado en Ciencias de la Educación. Se ha desempeñado como docente de la Facultad de Lenguas en la UAM desde 1995 a la fecha, en donde también ha sido consejera académica y de gobierno, así como primera directora electa de 1998 a 2002, integrante del Consejo Universitario en la misma etapa. Ha publicado diversos artículos tanto en inglés como en español referentes a estudios de las lenguas, educación y extensión. Recientemente sobre internacionalización de la educación superior. Dentro de la UAM ha llevado a cabo diferentes funciones como son catedrática en diversas áreas y más de 15 asignaturas de la Facultad de Lenguas de la UAM. Durante 2002 a 2004, directora del Centro Internacional de Lengua y Cultura, el CILC de la UAM. En 2004 y 2005, responsable del área de Relaciones Internacionales, y del 2005 al 2009, directora por asignación especial del Centro Universitario de Tenango del Valle. De 2009 a 2013 se desempeñó como secretaria de Extensión y Vinculación y actualmente es secretaria de Cooperación Internacional de la UAM. Y mando un fuerte aplauso a la maestra Yolanda.
Gracias. Thank you. Is it all right if it's in English? Okay. All that Cynthia just said has been really great and has given me a lot of opportunities. But the most and the greatest things that I am proud of is that I have been an English teacher since 1985, in the university since 1995. And I've been at CELE, I've been at Facultad de Lenguas, and I've been at SILC, so this is so nice for me. And another thing, my handwriting is so terrible that when I wrote the name of this talk, I wrote as part of, and it read as portal. So maybe you have it as portal. So that's just my handwriting. So English learning is part of global learning. This is something that's common sense, and as teachers we know. Are all of you here teachers, or some of you are just the students? All teachers. All teachers. Great. Only students? Well, if you learn English very well, sometime in your life, English teaching is going to save you. Really? Isn't it? Okay, let's start. So this is common sense. Who's going to change the... Thank you. Humanity is performing a stage of changes right now. There is a transformation in how we notice the world we live. I see that you're very young, most of you are very young, but the way we perceive the world nowadays is different from not many, many years ago. It's different from 20 years ago, from 30 years ago, from 15 years ago, even from 5 years ago. So there is a transformation, there is a constant transformation in this life. Let's go on, please. So global context. I wanted to contextualize with you first, what is globalization? Some people are part of anti-globalization or non-globalization, but globalization it's a fact, and it's something that we cannot do anything about it. And we can take advantage of it, of course. So the main characteristics of globalization, for me and as I've read, is first the development in communication, which leads to fluency of information. This has changed the concept of time and distance. We were just talking with some friends and we were saying, well, it was wonderful when we didn't have a cellular phone, because we just said, see you when I see you. And if you were home, you were lucky, or and if you were not, well, you reported when you got there. So this has changed. The fluency in communication is immediate. I have a son in Canada, and if I want to talk to him now, I do. And if I have a friend in China, and I want to talk to him now, I do. In the internet, through the internet, in the telephone, with 3 phone calls, you know, Viber, etc., Skype, and so on. So this has changed completely the concept of time and distance. We know the distance only when we pay for the plane tickets. That's the only way we know the distance. Otherwise, we're just here. And timing, because we say, oh no, we can't call right now to China because they're sleeping, and things like this. But otherwise, it's just the same. The other characteristic of globalization is the economic frontiers have been transformed. Financial movements are articulated. And we're going to see what this has to do with teaching in a minute. Like not so many years ago, maybe 15 years ago, some countries had money in other countries, or people had money in other countries, and you had to take the money, or they had to send the money with special people in a suitcase with handcuffs here, with the suitcase, and they took the money to the bank, to the other country, and left it there, and then came back. Nowadays, if I owe you some money, I just transfer it, or just wire it to you. Some people, we're still old-fashioned and like to go to the bank, but actually we don't need to go to the bank, only to the ATM to take some money out. But being old-fashioned has its advantages too. So money is just everywhere. Some people have thousands and thousands and millions of money maybe in the bank, and they never see it. They never see the cash. And they pay for things and they never see the cash. So this has changed a lot. Another thing is innovative production models. This has to do with everything that we have. Maybe a cellular phone. I don't know who here has a BlackBerry, but I heard this very nice example. BlackBerry is an American company with pieces that are made in China. It is assembled in Mexico, and it's commercialized in Canada and distributed in Canada. So that is a global telephone, for example. And it's just a telephone. There are cars, mostly everything, this television, everything that we see now, it has to do with different places in the world. And even people, even stories. There's this very sad story, and it was the first example that I heard also of globalization. It was Lady Diana's death story. And they said, well, it was an English princess with an Arab boyfriend in a German car, driven by an Italian driver, and she was killed in France in a French tunnel. So that it's a whole globalized, sad history. Okay, next. Okay, and the fourth characteristic is the rearrangement of the relation between countries. And this rearrangement of the relation has changed. We now know that some of us are part of development countries, some of us are part of emerged countries, some of us are part of basic countries or principal, or the BRIC, and so on. So geography has changed around economics. And this rearrangement of relations has headed into internationalization. Internationalization of economy, of culture, of terrorism, unfortunately, too, of justice, of knowledge, and of education. We have to be connected. We have to teach and learn very similar to the other part of the world, up and down. This reality impacts life on the planet nations, organizations, institutions, and human beings in all levels. This is something that Dr. Jorge Olvera was telling me when he thought about creating the Secretaría de Cooperación Internacional. He said, how many universities have these in your country? Well, not many. Why? I don't know. Because all of the universities move students, move teachers, and are connected somehow. But it's a must. It's becoming a must. And well, we're here. Let's, next, please. So this new world's economic order leads us to change the way we teach, the way we learn, and it leads us to internationalize our thoughts, globalize our thoughts. These sometimes to teachers, I know, and it's not a joke, that to select teachers it is not, but to some teachers it's a change and a challenge. Some teachers are, it's always better to be comfortable than say, no, I'm okay with my lesson that I've been teaching the way that I've been teaching it since 20 years ago. And so it's a change and it's a challenge, but we must face it. Jacques Delors, that I'm sure that a lot of you know, he says that we must, as teachers, prepare efficient, independent, and competitive learners for the world. And this is a lot. Competition is an issue that maybe we didn't have to face as big as it is now. For any student that comes out from any university, good or bad, public or private, that comes out of it, is knowing a second language or a third language is always a plus for anybody. This is why I'm telling you that English will help you, and English teaching will help you. Okay, even with your little baby. Okay, so it's a mechanism and it's a strategy. And you are here today in this event, in this tercer encuentro académico, because Senate, on one side, is aware of preparing its teachers and have them gathered together, but it's more aware of the importance of learning new things. What's up? And what's up, it's not just expression, it's what's up. What is new? What is out there in the world that I want to know and I need to know? So I like these things that I found, of course, on the internet, that gives us a lot of words that makes us think. It's learning, it's the glowing, it's learning within, because as teachers, we always learn from our students. It's being online, it's presence teaching, it's online teaching, it's our pupils, it's digital pupils, present pupils, etc. So I like this because it's a variety of how we are in this world of teaching. So the world is wonderfully diverse, and this is great. What happens when we think why or the reasons of wars, for example? And I think the main one is non-tolerance to diversity, any kind of diversity, religion, economics, race, whatever. So the wonder of diversity is something that has changed. We are now learning that being different is good, and that has to make us proud, and that knowing someone different is great. That knowing some other language and being able to communicate with someone else that is different, it's great. That has another thought, another way of growing, another way of eating, another way of thinking or feeling, another religion, etc. This is great. And how can we connect with this diversity? Through communication. Communication, cultures, communities, connections, and comparisons, but comparisons in the great way of valuing what we are and what we have. So this is how we're going to being able to value and to strengthen our values by comparing others. Respecting, of course, when they're different. And knowing that this diversity is our richness as human beings. Okay, next one. So, global communication. You tell me, Cynthia, if sometimes I go too fast, sometimes too slow. So, global communication tools. In order to get together and get immersed into this world, we need to have a tool, a communication tool. English. Are there only English teachers here? Or other language teachers?
I teach Italian.
Italian too? Ah, va bene. So English. Why English? I was thinking when I was doing this, maybe some teachers of other languages are going to say, why English? Why not French, Portuguese, or German, or which all of them are beautiful and very important. But nowadays, it's a fact that English is a communication tool. Besides the cultural, wonderful part it has as a language. I have some facts about English. For example, English is currently one of the most widely spoken and written languages around the world, with 380 million native speakers. This is very important, but mostly is that over 700 million people are second language speakers of English or speak English as a foreign language. So this is growing. Even Chinese, I had the opportunity to talk with the people from the province of Shandong, China, and of course they are interested in people learning Chinese and of sending Chinese teachers to Mexico, which is great because it's growing and it's the largest country in terms of population. So we need to also be able to communicate. But they know it's hard. They know it's a tone language. They know that it's not the same to say lemon, that lemon. And this is very hard for the rest of the world. So they are also very aware of English teaching and English learning because they know it's a way they will communicate. Through the global influence of native English speakers in cinema, music, broadcasting, science, and of course the internet in the recent decades, but it's only 2 decades, English is now the most widely learned second language in the world. And I'm sure that we've seen that with our students, all these elements have been very important for them to learn or to be aware of the importance of English. And a working knowledge of English is increasingly required in many fields and occupations. I talked with this company in Mexico that it's an intercontinental company, and I asked, what is it that you ask to the students when they come out from the university? And they told me, well, we need him or her to have global knowledge, multicultural knowledge, flexibility, adaptability, and of course the knowledge of the field or the career that they studied, and English. But English in a high level, not English de hablo el 80% o me defiendo. No, English in a high level. This means really go for over 600 in TOEFL, or go for 12 in the Trinity, or go for etc. Really go for it. Do not. And start with nothing. That is okay, because we all started with nothing. we all have Spanish as a second language. Start with nothing but start. Go for it. Take your communication tools with you and start with the 3 words of vocabulary and some signs and some Spanish words, and then go on and on and on and on and on. But always keep on learning, practice, read, etc. So because really knowing a second language and mastering or having the communication strong in English will give our students a chance for a better job, always. Next one, please. Also, English is the richest in vocabulary of, I have to say this, of the Romance languages. The Oxford English Dictionary lists about 500,000 words, and there are 500,000 technical and scientific terms still uncatalogued. So this is important. It is richer in vocabulary than Spanish, and Spanish is at the second or third place. I must say, I don't really know this, but English is the most wide in vocabulary. It is also the language of navigation and aviation, and we all need that. We all do that. Countries need that. More than half of the world's technical and scientific publications are in English. So this is also important. And I don't know, is there a lawyer here? Sometime a lawyer told me, why do we need English? We're going to take it off a program of law school. And nowadays, lawyers, what they do is that when they have a case that is not considered in the law, they go to what they call jurisdiction. And this is the past experience. What cases or similar cases have happened. So they go to that, and they can base their case on jurisdiction, on that experienced case. But nowadays, they can go to international jurisdiction. And of course, it's on the internet, and of course, it's in English. So lawyers need more than ever English. Lawyers and everybody. English is the medium for 80% of the information stored in the world's computers. And 5 of the largest broadcasting companies in the world, like CBC, NBC, BBC, and CBC, transmit in English and are reaching millions of people around the world. So these are just some facts. Go ahead. In other terms, English is spoken by 53% of the people of the world. We have here Russian 3%, Japanese 3%, Chinese 5%. I'm sorry, this is not that it's spoken, it's learned. So 53% of the people of the world are learning English, and 5% of the people of the world are learning Chinese. Of course, Chinese is spoken by 1,000 million people that live in China. German, French, and others. Some of them are in USA, some in UK, and some in other countries, and New Zealand, Canada, and Australia. This is something that caught my attention, and it's a booming revenues for digital English language learning content in China. As I was telling you, in China, there are many people, so they are putting a lot of emphasis in digital learning. And they know that this emphasis on digital English has to be from pre-K to grade 12. This is important. And why pre-K? I've always said that some countries have it mandatory to learn English since kindergarten or pre-kindergarten. In Mexico, unfortunately, we start having English as a mandatory in public schools until secondary school. So this is very sad because most of the children have wasted their capability of absorbing everything that you can absorb before you're 13. So this has become mandatory in many, many, many countries, but that's another topic. It's growing the use of English in the higher education segment. And these, if I might say, for example, other universities, we want other universities of the world to send their students to our university to study a semester. And one of the first questions that they make me is, how many programs do you have in English? And I say, we do. We have English language in School of Languages. We have Negocios Económicos Internacionales Bilingües in la Facultad de Economía.
And that's it.
And that is it. So we must prepare teachers. We must prepare teachers to teach their subjects in English. And this is not easy. We are working on it. It's not easy to go with an engineer that has been teaching, I don't know, mechanics 1, and tell him you must do it now in English. You know English because you went to this course, or you went for a year or for a sabbatical here or there. But it's not the same thing, and you know it, and we know it now. For some reason we are here because we know the language, but we don't know at the beginning how to teach it. And it's not only knowing or not knowing, it's a matter of having it here. It's a matter of, how to say this? Vocación. I don't have the word. So, strong consumer demand for mobile English, all the time, mobile English. Everything is mobile now. Everything has to go with you. Your office, your family, your contacts, your knowledge. If you don't know if somebody said, who was Bernard Shaw? Oh, I don't know, but I'll tell you in a minute. And that didn't happen before. We had to make a team when I was in secondary school. A team, and then choose a topic, and we got together every afternoon for a week to find out who was Bernard Shaw and what he did. So right now this is instant. High demand for specialized type of English. This is also true. We teach English, but we need to know that this is growing. The demand for specialized teaching. Some people come and say, I just want to talk. I just want conversation. Or I just want reading comprehension. Or I just want technical English of the field I work on, and so on. So we must be up to date in these. This is to make happier students like those there. Next. And this is something that really caught my mind. I've seen it before, and I found it on the internet, and I wanted to take it here. This is English language. There are many words. I'm going to leave this presentation with Cynthia, and if you need it, or I don't know if you're gonna put it up on the internet or something, but it's for you. Maybe you don't see, because I don't see from here all the small words, but interesting words. I see official, I see speak, recommendations, brothers, brother tongue, mother tongue, and this is important. We have our mother tongue, but we need brother tongue because of these relations that we make. So first, shifts, post. This is something that tells us a lot, and all the words are related with English, and all the words are related with the world nowadays. Next slide, please. So we know that we achieve communicative competence, and through it, by being global or by thinking global, we achieve culture, communication, confidence, collaboration, and communities it says here, but it's understanding communities and understanding this global culture. So think globally, learn locally. And this is why I was telling you about values. The more we know about other places, the more we appreciate what we have here, and the more we want to learn about what we have here, which is very important. But thinking globally, it's always offending what we have here. Next. So, let's be global teachers. Let's keep up on coming to these events, any event. I highly recommend the MOOC for teachers. Any MOOC. It's mobile, online, open courses. That is what MOOC stands for. And most of the greatest universities in the world, Harvard, Oxford, Yale, etc., they have MOOCs on the internet. Just look for them. It's MOOC, Mobile Online Open Courses. These are free, and you can find courses for cooks, for mechanics, for new mothers, pregnant moms, teachers, new teachers, old teachers. And it's great because they're free, and they have these background of the scientific and academic support of a high-level institution. So go global. Let's every day become global. And on that way, we'll make global learners and teach them to be global. Next. So, in all the languages, thank you. Gracias. Quedo a sus órdenes if you have any question.
That's time for some questions. If you have any question, this is the time for you. No questions?
No.
Yo soy por la pregunta. Maestra, la universidad, ¿qué es lo que está pensando hacer para los profesores? ¿Tienen algún programa, alguna iniciativa para formar precisamente a los profesores? Usted mencionaba que se requiere profesores que den las clases en inglés, no solamente los profesores que dan inglés, sino profesores de otras áreas que puedan dar sus clases en inglés, pero que no tienen esa preparación, ¿no? Conocen su área, pero no dominan el inglés. No sé si la universidad está pensando en alguna iniciativa para estos profesores.
Sí, claro. Hay iniciativas importantes por parte de la Secretaría de Docencia y hay muchos profesores que sí dominan el inglés, sin embargo no dan sus clases en inglés porque no se los pero hay muchos profesores de tiempo completo en la mayoría de las facultades que se han ido de sabático o que se han ido de un periodo para investigación o que precisamente por su formación académica necesitan conocer el idioma, pero todas estas herramientas didácticas no las tienen. Entonces se están preparando a partir de la dirección de lenguaje. No sabría precisamente porque no es en área, sin embargo sé que ya hay proyectos. Sé que por parte de Operación Internacional no tienen maestros a formarse en la enseñanza. Son pasos que urgen, pero realmente learning ¿alguna otra pregunta?
What do you say?
Oh, the books. Yes, and thank you for asking. So it's MOOC, it's M-O-O-C. It stands for Mobile Online Open Courses. And you can find them on the internet, in Google, wherever you put MOOC, or the other day, Harvard University MOOCs. And they just came out. were, I don't know, the University of British Columbia books, and they come up, and then we start just saying about that.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for